Drive to right center field. Back near the wall and gone. Nestor Cortez Jr. And a called strike 3. He strikes out Jimenez. High fly ball, right field and deep. Back near the wall is Gonzalez. It's gone. Chopper to first. Rizzo has it. He'll race to the bag himself. He dives and gets there ahead of Jimenez. In right field, it's Judge. The Guardians go in order. Struck him out. Bouncing ball to the right side. Rizzo ranges to his right. Holmes covers. The 3-2. Swung on and missed. At shortstop, Kiner Falefa. The flip to Torres. And the Yankees move on, and look at Torres mocking Naylor.
That was a typical Yankee victory this year. You know, good, strong pitching, hitting the long ball. What'd you think of Gleyber Torres there at the end with the baby thing?
I think it was kind of karma, you know, in a subtle way. Saying, you know, karma's going to come back and get you, dude. If you taunted us at home, we're going to catch you in the Bronx, baby. So this is a way of doing it. And the Wags were doing it, too, after the games. The wives and girlfriends. They were all doing it. They were on video doing the whole thing like this. So it was kind of cool to see. I'm just glad the Yankees paid them back and won. Because then it made that karma feel that much better last night, if that makes sense. Yeah, that was a satisfying victory. Look, the antics, the whole like the mannerisms and the baby stuff, like I could take it or leave it. I mean, I know the kids like it, it's fun, whatever. It's a little bit out there for my taste, but I'm just glad that we're continuing to play for at least another few days, at least through the weekend. Headed to Houston. The Yankees are at a disadvantage on paper. The Astros have their pitching lined up. They have home field advantage. Combine that with the fact that they own the Yankees this year. They no-hit the Yankees in the Bronx this year. How do the Yankees win this series? What are the keys to winning? Well, I said this before the ALDS too. They're going to have to out-Astros the Astros like they had to out-Guardian the Guardians. You're going to have to do your thing, and you're going to have to beat them at their own game too. Right? So we know right off the bat they're going to have to neutralize guys like Yordan Alvarez. And even though Jose Altuve is 0 for 14 in the ALDS, that means nothing when he plays the Yankees. He always plays the Yankees well. So they're going to have to figure out a way to get him out, Alvarez, even if it's walking Alvarez half the time, and not to ignore Alex Bregman or even Kyle Tucker. They have enough guys that their pitching needs to get out, but their defense needs to step up too. So that's the way. And the pitching's going to – and I'm actually glad that their number one's not lining up with our number one. So it's kind of that off-balance pitching thing, which I think will probably help the Yankees. So there's pressure on guys like Cortez and Cole to match up with Verlander and Valdez. So I kind of like the off, and I like that Tyone. I think he's earned the right to throw a start here. And with the extra day rest the day before Game 5, I think the Yankees bullpen's a little bit more rested, which they're going to need to be. You're going to need all hands on deck. And I think making the right moves when this roster finally comes out, maybe having guys like Oswald Peraza on there or Tim LaCastro, getting as many productive weapons as you can, athletic, speedy weapons to go against these Houston Astros. So I think that's a combination too. But they're going to have to out-Astros the Astros. Period.
Well, that's something we talked about during the ALDS preview was Peraza. We saw IKF actually get benched finally. You can't mess up in big spots, right? So they decided to go with Oswaldo Cabrera last night and the night before, or the Game 4 rather. I didn't think he looked all that great. I mean, he botched a couple as well. Yeah. It's just a tough position, right? Who are you going with at shortstop in Game 1 tonight? I think I'm going with Peraza.
If he's on the roster, I'm going with Peraza as well. And the one thing I noticed, I don't know if you noticed this too, when Cabrera plays outfield, he tends to hit better as opposed to when he plays the infield. So if you line it up, the stats is he just hits better when he plays the outfield. And to me, he's a little bit more dangerous. He's a very accurate throwing arm out there. So I want to have him out there as much as possible. And the fact is, we haven't played Giancarlo Stanton, but he's hitting in the outfield, but he's still hitting the ball again. So we really don't need to put him in the outfield. We can have Cabrera out there, in my opinion. So that's my thought.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thought. The way I might do it, if Benintendi, a lot of this going to come down to whether or not Benintendi can be on the roster, right? And it doesn't sound like he is, but they could surprise us. Apparently, he's been trying to come back faster than normal from that hamate bone injury, and he's had some pain in the wrist. He had to get a cortisone injection. That can keep you down for a few days, but it can take the pain away once it heals. I could see them putting him on the roster just in hopes that he's ready for Game 4, Game 5, something like that. But if they decide to leave him off the roster, I think you got to go with Peraza at shortstop, Cabrera in left field, and then just DH Giancarlo Stanton, and then use Matt Carpenter in the way you've been using him. Bring him off the bench late in games to, especially if you have a lead and in a spot where you have to pitch to him, right? Like last night, just taking a shot at a 3-run home run. Yeah. And that's, unfortunately, because of the injury, that's just how it worked out. But I think that's the best way to go. IKF, I honestly don't think he should be benched. I think he should play third. Donaldson's done a nice job on defense, but I think IKF could be just as good on defense, and he makes more contact. Give me your thoughts on that. Yeah,
he's a more timely hitter. He's also faster and more aggressive on base paths, so he's got a couple little intangibles where he has an advantage over Donaldson. Give him a Donaldson later on for late-game defense. One night could still get him in there, but I would start him at third base as well. And with Peraza at shortstop, you just have a more athletic infield, and I like that.
Yeah. I mean, that could be a way to get Carpenter more at-bats, too, is if you start IKF at third base, let him take a couple of at-bats, take the first 5-6 innings, pinch hit for him in maybe his third at-bat, leave Carpenter in there for, maybe one trip through the order, get him out of there in the 9th inning, and put Donaldson in for defense.
Yep.
That could be the way to do it. You could, minimize the amount that you have to use Carpenter in the field, maybe an inning, maybe 2, and hopefully get him 2 at-bats. If it lines up that way, and it might not. Baseball never really works out the way we envision it. Yeah. But, all right, before the ALDS, and I know you got to go fairly short today, but I wanted to give you some time to talk about the X Factors. Before the ALDS, your X Factor was Harrison Bader, and mine was Giancarlo Stanton. So survey says, ding, ding. We nailed that one. Who's your guy that we haven't talked about yet? We got a lot of guys who could step up. Aaron Judge, the revenge factor. Giancarlo Stanton been swinging the bat really well. Garrett Cole really stepped up, and he could factor in the middle of the series in a key game. Who's your X factor for this series?
You just mentioned Garrett Cole. I think he's going to be in shove-off mode, and this series, I think he showed that it factor, that leader factor, that beast mode, Garrett Cole, that we've been waiting for a long time in the ALDS twice. So I think he's going to have that same type of bulldog pitching against the Astros. And I think, honestly, I looked this up. For the last 6 years, the Astros have been in the ALCS 6 times in a row. Faced the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Yankees, Tampa Bay, Boston, and the Yankees. So that's crazy. That's a lot of ALCS time. And this year's the Yankees, obviously, the 6th year. So, and one of those times they've won the World Series, obviously. A couple of other times they've been to the World Series. So I think it's time for some payback, right?
I agree.
And Garrett Cole needs to be a big part of the payback. So he's had a couple off outings, but I think that he's showing, he's earning his money in the postseason where it counts the most right now. So
he's lined up for Game 3, right?
3-7 right now.
3-7. Oh, yeah. So if he pitches 2 more good games, that's like the linchpin game, and then you got the winner-take-all game. Imagine Garrett Cole in a Game 7.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately, it would be in Houston, but imagine him shutting him down in Game 7 in Houston. That would be beautiful. I'm going to give you my X factor, and this is somebody that I'm just going off of what I saw in the ALDS. Clay Holmes, he's got the sinker back. I saw some soft ground balls last night. I saw efficient outs. He wasn't struggling with his command. And I don't know if he's going to pitch 2 days in a row, so I don't envision them using him tonight. The Yankees might not even have a situation because they're facing Verlander. I kind of expect the Astros to take Game 1, honestly. But I think that if the Yankees can win Game 2, I don't think the series is going back to Houston. I think if the Yankees win Game 2, they're gonna take all 3 in the Bronx. And I think Clay Holmes could be a big piece of that in maybe Game 2 in Houston, and then Game 4, maybe Game 5 in New York. And he's going to have to come up big. But the fact that he was getting that sink, getting the velo, and didn't seem phased by the moment, I think he could be a big piece. What are your thoughts on Holmes?
We need right now, particularly with the losses that the bullpen have taken over the last week or two, We needed that guy to step up.
You know, Jonathan Loaizaga really threw the ball last night. And then Wandy Peralta. I mean, the bullpen, it started off as kind of a weak point. And look, not everybody is healthy that we'd like to be healthy. We might get Ron Marinaccio back. That could be huge.
Yeah.
I don't know if Frankie Montas is going to figure in, but it sounds like he could. Who else you think could step up on the pitching side of things?
Relief, Licky. Just another crafty lefty. To me, Wandy's like the Nestor Cortez of the bullpen. And Loaizaga's reminded me of 1995 Mariano Rivera.
Just 2 innings of shutdown ball, man.
Some hell to the opposer. So that's, I think Licky could be, and I think Taillon could be an X factor in the rotation. So I think things line up better than some folks might think it does for the Yankees. But they have to take advantage of it.
Yeah. The thing about Loaizaga is that his stuff is back. Like in the beginning of the year, you know, he had the velocity, but the command and the movement were not there, right? We saw lots of 99s, lots of 100s, but it was straight. It was out of the zone. And now what he's doing is he's pitching on the inside part of the plate to righties, and he's getting that late life. It's like a reverse cutter, you know, kind of like Mariano would throw into the lefties and just get the ball on the in the small part of the bat. He's getting that fastball to kind of just dart in on that trademark. And even if you make contact with it, you can't do anything with it. That's why he's giving up a lot of soft contact when he gives up hits at all. Loaizaga could be another big X factor. I know you got to go, so I want to give you a couple minutes. Give me your final predictions for the series. I want who wins, how many games, and who's your series MVP.
Yankees in 6. I do think they're going back home, but I think they're going to try and do it in 5. I think they'll split in Houston, take 2 out of 3 in Yankee Stadium, and then surprise them and just eliminate them back in Houston. My MVP is going to be Aaron Judge. I think he's going to light it up this series. I think he's going to be back at home, and I think ignited something there. And I think he's going to be ready to say, all right, you guys need me to come up big? I got you. Him and Stanton, I think, are going to go on a little tear against Houston. So Yankees in 6, baby.
All right. I've been trying to avoid making a prediction because, you know, predictions never look good when you're wrong, but everybody wants to hear it. So I'm going to go out on a limb. I think Verlander's going to win the game for Houston tonight, and I think the Yankees take the next 4. Yankees in 5 in the Bronx, series MVP, Giancarlo Stanton. I think he's going to hit minimum of 3 home runs.
I like your prediction better than mine. I like it better than mine. So, that's the prediction.
Jason, fantastic work all season. And look, if the Yankees win this series, you got to come back on for the World Series preview. I mean, it's, you know, good luck here. So, continue the great work, and good luck over the ALCS.
You do the same, brother. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Appreciate it.
Bye, man.